Let's start right here. 281 million. Just pause for a second and really let that number sink in. It's absolutely massive, right? I mean, that is literally more than the entire population of Brazil. And right now, today, that is exactly how many people live outside the country they were born in. It's roughly 3.6% of the world's entire population. Crazy to think about, isn't it?
Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into a really incredible resource called the Crossing Borders Building Home Workbook. We're going to unpack what has to be one of the bravest journeys a person can ever take. So we're taking a deep, empathetic, and totally fact-based look into why people leave the only home they've ever known, what they actually face when they get there, and how all of us as a community can step up and welcome them.
Okay, let's dive right in and clear up the most common mix-up we see right off the bat. It comes down to Latin roots. Immigration means moving into a new country. Emigration is moving out of your home country. So think about a family leaving Nigeria. They're immigrants from Nigeria. But the second they arrive in the United States, they're immigrants in the US. It's literally the exact same journey, just described differently depending on where you're standing. Just remember, in versus exit. Makes sense, right?
So here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, we'll understand the macro-level journey, then look at why people move. After that, we'll put real human faces to the statistics, uncover some hidden challenges, and finally, figure out how we can build a welcoming home.
All right, Section 1, Understanding the Journey, Myths and Facts.
You know, human migration goes back roughly 70,000 years to early humans just looking for food and warmth. It's literally one of our oldest, most deeply ingrained behaviors. But despite all that history, there is just a ton of misinformation out there today. So I've got to ask you a direct question. Do immigrants take jobs, avoid learning English, and skip paying taxes? Honestly, you've probably heard at least one of these claims floating around. False info spreads like wildfire, and it's absolutely crucial that we confront this pervasive misinformation head-on with actual data.
Because the data, it tells a completely different story. Studies consistently show that immigrants actually create jobs and help grow economies. And what about language? Well, most try to learn English as fast as humanly possible, but linguistically it takes a solid 5 to 7 years to fully master a new language. That takes real, grueling effort. And taxes? Yeah, both documented and undocumented immigrants pay billions in taxes every single year. So that myth is just factually incorrect. And why does this matter? Because these stereotypes actively hurt real people.
Moving right along to Section 2, Why do people move? The 9 reasons.
Look, no one leaves their home for absolutely nothing. At a macro level, we've got these invisible push factors that force you out, like war, and pull factors that attract you, like better schools. The workbook identifies these 9 major reasons. On one end of the spectrum, you have desperate escapes from pure danger, fleeing war, escaping discrimination, or trying to survive a devastating climate disaster. But on the exact opposite end, you've got this beautiful, ambitious hope for a better future, right? Seeking educational or economic opportunities, or simply reuniting with family after years apart. Every single person who crosses a border carries one or maybe several of these exact reasons in their suitcase.
Which brings us to Section 3, Faces of Immigration. Let's look at the micro-level human stories.
Statistics are important, for sure, but they don't really help us build empathy, do they? So let's look through the eyes of the people actually taking these journeys. Meet 12-year-old Lena. She's from Tuvalu, which is this tiny Polynesian island nation in the Pacific. Her people have navigated those waters for literally 2,000 years. But here's the heartbreaking part. Tuvalu's average elevation is just 2 meters above sea level, and it is slowly being swallowed by rising seas. Lena is a climate refugee. Her family had to accept a climate resettlement offer to New Zealand, so she's safe, but man, she feels completely invisible because almost no one in her new school even knows where Tuvalu is.
So, Lena entered an essay competition about climate change and actually ended up speaking at a school assembly. She laid out her grandfather's woven mat right there on the stage and delivered this incredible quote. This is such a powerful metaphor. It really helps us truly feel that unique environmental grief of climate displacement. She is grieving a homeland that still physically exists right now, but soon won't. And as she points out so perfectly, it's a crisis her family didn't even cause in the first place.
Now, let's shift gears and look at Priya from India. Priya's family didn't flee a war. They moved to California on H-1B visas for her parents' tech jobs. But Priya's challenge is totally invisible.
She feels fully American, but she's constantly hit with that question, where are you really from? At school, she's constantly weighed down by the model minority myth. People just expect her to be perfect at science and math, even though she actually prefers art. She's navigating this complex, hyphenated identity, caught right between her parents' culture and her adopted home.
Now, what's really truly beautiful here is how Priya perfectly captures that you absolutely don't have to choose between two cultures. She started a blog that went viral at her school, and she wrote this quote: "She outright refuses to let anyone erase either half of her identity." It's such an amazing reminder to all of us not to reduce someone to just where their parents came from. You can be both, fully.
And then there's 14-year-old Ibrahim from Syria. His childhood in Aleppo was literally shattered by bombs. He fled across the Mediterranean at night in a rubber dinghy, holding on to his little sister. Now he's resettled in Germany. He learned the language brilliantly, but underneath, he carries immense PTSD and survivor's guilt. People just see him as quiet and serious. But you know what helped? One day, a German classmate named Felix just sat down next to him and played a video game with him. He didn't force him to talk, didn't ask questions. That simple, wordless gesture gave Ibrahim a safe space to just breathe. Sometimes, that's all it takes.
All right, Section 4, the hidden challenges. What happens after arrival?
So Ibrahim, Priya, and Lena really show us that crossing the border is literally just the beginning. I mean, imagine the sheer exhaustion of having to translate your entire personality into a new language every single day. The language barrier alone makes you feel totally invisible. Then there's culture shock, making you second-guess basic social rules, like, wait, what's funny here? What's considered rude? And identity confusion makes you feel so pressured to pick a side. But what helps? Patient friends, visual aids, and simply validating people's multiple identities. It's a game changer.
Which leads us straight into our final part, Section 5, Building a Welcoming Home, How to Be an Ally. Look, we obviously can't rewrite immigration law or stop climate change overnight, but we absolutely 100% can control how we treat the new person sitting right next to us. First up, language matters. Big time. The words we use send immediate messages about who belongs. Instead of asking, where are you really from, which kind of implies they don't belong here, right? Try saying, where did you grow up? Or just simply, hey, tell me about yourself. Instead of commenting on someone's weird food, just ask what it is with genuine curiosity. We've got to shift from excluding language to inclusive phrasing. Next, just follow this actionable kindness checklist. It's super easy. Step 1, smile. Seriously, you don't need to share a language to communicate warmth. Step 2, take the time to learn and pronounce their name correctly. It shows that their identity actually matters to you. Step 3, be a guide. Show them where the cafeteria is or, how the tricky lockers work. And step 4, stand up against bullying. If you hear someone making fun of an accent, which, by the way, is just a sign of pure bravery and hard work, speak up, say something.
I want to leave you all with this final, really powerful thought from the workbook. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is showing up anyway. You have the power to make someone feel that their courage was worth it. Every single person who leaves their home to start completely over is carrying immense, unimaginable courage. The real question for us is, will we be the kind of neighbors who make that courage feel worth it? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep asking those big questions, and go out there and be an ally today.